Oh, that's right. We're live here this afternoon on WCRS Radio, and I am excited. I have been waiting to give him a time to get to know Greenwood a little bit. Didn't want to wait too long. Wanted to get to him before anything happened here. But I am excited to be here this afternoon with Shane Goodwin. He is Superintendent of District 50. Monday night, it was Monday night a week ago, they had their school board meeting, very interesting meeting. He's been out meeting people, talking to people. I'm excited to present to you Shane Goodwin. How are you doing today, Shane?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I've been so excited to join you this afternoon.
Absolutely. I met you months ago when you first were got the job.
That's right. Right at the time that we were all interviewing, I had some amazing people that were also interested in this job, and I think you basically made me promise that whoever were to get this job had to come on the show.
That's
so here
right.
we are.
That's
I'm excited to be here.
And, of course, Jonathan broadcast the football, so Emerald football, so I do have a little in there.
You do. Jonathan, I know you're interviewing me, but Jonathan is amazing. So I'm so lucky to get to work with him every day.
Absolutely. So where are you from originally?
I grew up in Florida, South Florida, Fort Pierce, Florida area. My parents were there. I grew up there, had just an amazing childhood playing sports, baseball and other things. My dad was in the Air Force, and my mom and dad were married and had a great school experience. They were always supportive of me. Mom went to PTO, and my dad worked for UPS for 30 years and enjoyed that work. And so it was an amazing childhood growing up with two parents who cared about me. And so
that's a key phrase right there, isn't it? Two parents that cared about me.
Well, they both did. They worked really hard, and my mom made sure we had what we needed to have, and my dad was out working during the day, and my mom worked too after my sister and I both got in school. So I do have a sister. And so we grew up there and had a wonderful South Florida growing up with surfing and diving and doing all the things at the beach, which is really different than where I am now. I love the change of the seasons, though, so it's been amazing to be here. And again, back in South Carolina.
That's right. So what direction did you, if you have a telephone call, I want to tell you can text or call us 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. That is the text or call-in number, and it turns it into the text. We would love to hear from you if you've got a question or a comment. And again, we are here with Superintendent Shane Goodwin for District 50. Now, here you are superintendent of schools, but what did you want to be when you grew up?
You know, I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I grew up in a family of folks who worked hard and expected me to be honest and find a job one day with good benefits and have a family. That was their dreams for me, and I thought that I would. I tried trade school. My grandfather worked in the air conditioning refrigeration business on my dad's side, and I thought I'll try that. So I went through the coursework at the technical school to do that and decided, okay, maybe I'll do computers. And so I did that for a while, and I had another grandfather who built houses, and I thought maybe I'll do that. And then he saw me build, and he thought maybe not. So I kind of made my way around.
To do something different.
That's right. So I thought maybe one day, my dad worked for UPS, as I mentioned, which was a really good employer.
Absolutely.
I mean, their motto is, what can Brown do for you? And I mean, they gave a lot of opportunities for our family. I was so grateful or work on a power company or something like that. Just another good job that had great benefits. But I met someone one day while I was trying to figure it out. I was married. My wife and I were newlyweds. I was sitting in a breakfast place in Easley, South Carolina, and we were working on a church in the afternoon and doing backyard Bible club, soccer in the morning. And a man looked at me at the breakfast table and said, I've been watching you with kids, and I think you might be a good teacher. Have you thought about that? And I said, you mean men can be teachers? And he said, I'm an elementary school PE teacher. I think you ought to look into that. So that led to my direction, led me to explore, public education, going to school to be an educator. I ended up doing that, and it's been a wonderful life. I mean, this is my 30th year in public ed, beginning in Rock Hill. I was there 23 years, and then in Virginia for 7. So here I am back in South Carolina. Somehow I found myself lucky enough to be your superintendent here in Greenwood 50, and it's my joy.
So what was your first teaching job?
Kindergarten.
I
taught kindergarten. So
that was back in the day when men didn't do that, right?
There were not many. There were 3 in the entire state of South Carolina. And I went to a conference one time, and all 3 of us were there at the same time. So we talked a little bit about how unique that was. But I loved, early childhood education is a passion for me. If we get that right, everything is right.
Right.
And so kindergarten students love to learn something new every day, and they taught me something new every day too. And it was fantastic. I really loved kindergarten.
Wow. That is terrific. And look at today. We want men as role models in our schools.
Absolutely.
And elementary particularly, I think we look for them.
That's right. We need more and more, folks who represent the kids in our classrooms. And so I look forward to all of those opportunities we have to hire folks who are interested. It's an incredible job. So really in a good way. Excellent.
Well, I got to ask you, what drew you to come to Greenwood District 50? I mean, other than there was a job available,
right.
What drew you to that?
I did a lot of homework, and I kind of looked. My wife, her parents live in Seneca, South Carolina, so they're not far from here.
Right.
And as they begin to age, it's nice to be closer to home. The 2 of us, my wife and I, were living in Front Royal, Virginia, beautiful place, and we loved it there. Incredible people. But it was time for us to kind of come back home again to South Carolina. So as I started to do homework and look at opportunities, I had probably been through Greenwood as I was going places, but I really hadn't stopped and spent time here. So the more I really looked into the opportunity, the more I became excited. I went back and looked at school board meetings, budget meetings, and a couple of the themes that I kept discovering was people here really care about kids, and people here really care about each other. And I thought, I want to work in a place that talks a lot about kids and how to make the lives of kids better, not only now, but tomorrow and in the future, and also people who care about each other. And so that's one of the things I think I've discovered even since I was lucky enough to earn this job, was just people here care about each other. They don't always agree. People don't always agree, but I love diverse ideas, right? We need to listen to each other and find the best idea to make our community the best place it can be. But people truly care about each other. And my wife, Christy, and I want to be in a community that is that kind of community, and this is the one. So as I did the homework and I looked at what are the things that matter here, I think that's what really drew me to this opportunity. Being closer to her family, obviously that's important to all of us. When we have people we care about, we don't want to be too far away.
Sure.
But I want to continue to work, and I enjoy what I do every day. So that's what drew me to this place, is just care for people, care for kids, and I think those are 2 really important things.
I think they are too. I think one of the things that brings Greenwood together, and because I hear that from people that come from out of town and move here, retire here, they always talk about it. But I really think it has to do with it being a mill town, and all the people living in the mill villages caring about each other, working together, taking care of each other's kids and all this type of thing. I really think that was the glue, that was the specialness that made it the way it is.
That's a great point. That's something that I had thought about as well. As you drive around Greenwood, you see a lot of homes that were built to kind of have people all together in one space that are still here.
Right.
And so that community feel is still here, even though the mills have maybe changed or have gone away.
Correct.
But that does make this place a special place. That's a great point. I love that.
Exactly. So let's see. I was watching the meeting from a week ago. I guess that was on the 20th, and you were at the Greenwood Performing Arts Center there. That lovely place right there.
It is a beautiful place.
And place was packed. So I was like, wow, you got all these people here. And then I watched on a little bit, and it kind of disappeared. But you had a great event going on. Tell us what y'all were doing that night.
Well, what drew so many people there, and we would obviously love to have folks stay the whole meeting, but we were there to celebrate, I think it was 47 students that night who achieved the maximum score on their state assessment. And so that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, our board is passionate about, and our whole district is passionate about, is recognizing kids. So to have not only the students, but the teachers come up on stage.
I thought that was a nice touch with the teacher.
I love that, because our teachers are working incredibly hard in the classroom to make sure kids are able to do absolutely all that they can do. So to have the teacher and the child and the parent all in the, or grandparent and uncle, whoever's there to represent that family, all in the same space, I think was just special. So there was a lot of energy around that. It took a pretty good while, but it was absolutely worth it. I would venture to say for all of us, it was the highlight of our night. So
absolutely. And the first part of it, you were recognizing teachers, I do believe. Or
we did. We have the Greenwood 50, which may have been also one of the other opportunities we have for recognition. So that's something new we started this year, where we have a community member, a student, community organization folks, we have an administrator, and we have a support staff member every month. So over 10 months, if you have 5 different people or groups over 10 months, that equals 50.
Right.
And so we have the Greenwood 50. So we came up with that idea together, and recipients receive a coin that has the number they are out of 50. You know, which one of the 50 are you?
Right.
The shirt says, I'm one of the Greenwood 50, and then it also says, are you next?
Right.
Because we want folks to be recognized who don't always get seen. There's so many people in this community making great things happen that not in a traditional way. They might be working at a restaurant. They might be someone that you see at the store. It might be a nonprofit, but we don't always get the chance to recognize them. So the idea we had was, let's find all of them, and every year they'll make up the Greenwood 50. So what you don't see is a picture of all of those people hanging in the district office to remind everybody that comes in and all of us each day that these folks are really fabulous people and do amazing things.
Fabulous 50.
The Fabulous 50.
There you go.
There you go.
Right,
the Fab 50. They happen to be from Greenwood.
Well, there
Right.
you go.
There you go.
I think that's great. Well, what was funny is I was watching it, and then I must have looked away or something, and the next thing I saw, or maybe I skipped ahead a little bit, and the next thing I saw was, where'd all the people go?
A number of people decided that they would part. I'm sure they were busy. They had other things they needed to do.
Right. But anyways, it was just kind of funny. Then when you got into your meeting. Now, one of the announcements that you made was about being a cohort of a learning center. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. That person I talked to you a little bit about the start of my career. Well, I was a teacher for a while, then an assistant principal. And then I became interested in administration. I had some folks say, hey, have you thought about being an administrator? And I said, okay, well, let me look into that. So I kind of walked along my walk. And then along that way, I met a superintendent, Dr. Lynn Moody, who happened to be superintendent in Rock Hill Schools. And I interviewed for principal jobs, and she hired me to be principal of Evanport Elementary School in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So this opportunity, the question you're asking me about, she nominated me. So that was a long time ago. She nominated me. We've kind of kept in touch along the way. She had a big influence on my life. She was one of those people that would do whatever it takes to help a student, a person, a child, anyone in her life. And so we connected over that. She was very innovative. She recommended me to apply to what's called Transcend Learner-Centered Leadership Labs. And the Learner-Centered Leadership Lab is all about making sure that everything you do as a school district is learner-focused, not adult-focused, kid-focused.
Right.
And so I had to go through a 1-hour interview process with some national leaders of this Transcend group. That's the name of the group, Learner-Centered Leadership Lab. And so through that competitive process, they selected me to be one of the 10 folks in their cohort.
Wait a minute.
So I'm excited.
10 folks.
Right. One of 10 around the country.
Around the whole country.
That's right. To be in that group. And so I feel really fortunate, number one, that Dr. Moody thinks that highly of me to even recommend me to that group. Number two, to be selected, because I can only imagine the caliber of people who were there. And somehow through that process, they looked at me and my responses and said, hey, we'd like to have you join us. So there's a couple of in-person meetings. Most are virtual. But it's all about thinking in new ways about how to make a district learner-focused, student-focused. And I'm really interested in that, making sure our decisions are based on student needs.
Well, I think that is terrific, and that's why I wanted to highlight that, because I think that is terrific, because if you think this isn't just for the Southeast or the Northeast, this is for the whole country.
That's exactly right.
So that's a huge honor. Now, how long does that go on for?
It starts this month, so it comes up in November, and then it only runs through April. It's pretty intense through those times. Again, there's a meeting or two in person, but most are virtual, and then you're paired up with people. And a big piece of it is reflection. You know, we don't all stop often enough to think about, is what we're doing good enough? Is it the right thing? So they really focus a lot, too, on reflection. And so the great thing is you get to reflect with national partners who understand what's kind of going on, not just here, but other places. And not that we want to change this to somewhere else, but what does that look like in Greenwood? So I'm excited to bring back some ideas to add to the ones that are great that are already here that we can think about.
Now, you're working with quite a team over there. Have you energized your team?
I think so. I've done my best to do that. You know, I can't tell you how fortunate I feel every day to walk into a place that has so many high-quality people. I mean, they have great ideas. The team at the district office, our leaders in our buildings, our teachers in our classrooms. So part of the way that I try to energize people is just listen and reflect the good things that are happening, and then try to, you know, maybe turn some knobs to try to make some of the things I hear a little bit better. So I'm doing a lot of listening sessions right now, different kind of departments, schools. Right after the holidays, I'm going to be spending some time listening in schools again to get out to, you know, teachers are really important. One of the big pieces that I wanted to bring was capturing teacher voice, you know, making sure we include teacher voice in our decisions.
I think teachers would wholeheartedly agree. Yes.
It's a huge piece of what we do every day, and who better to ask than the people that are in our classrooms.
Exactly. They make a big, and they're closest to it.
That's right. They're in the work. It's a challenging, rewarding job, and so I need to spend that time, quality time, listening in multiple ways to capture their voice and to put that to good use in our decisions.
We are talking with Shane Goodwin. He is District 50's new superintendent. He's been on the job, I guess, since July.
That's right, July 1.
July 1st. And he has got a whole lot of energy. And I said this morning, I didn't know. He said he was a good listener. I consider myself a good listener, so I wondered if we'd have anything to talk about. But so far, we're not doing too bad at all, are we? If you have a question or a comment for Shane, 864-332-9355. You can call or text, and we'll get it right here during the show. So please do that. So as you look at Greenwood, at District 50, what are some of the things that you think District 50 needs?
I think that you paid attention, I know, to our last board meeting. So the school board is interested in talking about elementary facility study. So one of the things I would say, in my last position, I was assistant superintendent for administration. Planning and construction was one of the areas I supervised. I would say that we have amazing schools here, amazing learning spaces for kids in all of our schools. There are a few things we need to kind of take a look at and adjust. But I do want to make sure that in conjunction with taking a look at our facilities, we also look at our magnet programs. I mentioned early on, I think in this, when we started the program, about I'm a big fan of public school choice options, options within the public system, and we have some really good ones here. You know, we have our Greenwood School of Inquiry, we have our medical magnet, we have our Montessori program, we have lots of other pieces. So one of the things that I took on right away that I wanted to really talk about was just stabilizing. There was some conversation before I arrived about Montessori not maybe being here. So I went over and met with the teachers at the school. Montessori is a great program, and they have phenomenal people that are in that program, very passionate about it. And we have a lot of parents in our community who just believe in that. Not just Montessori students. These are Montessori families. That's the way they want their whole family to wrap around that idea and way of learning. So I went over and spent time with the teachers there and talked with our board about just making sure that we absolutely stabilize our commitment to all of our programs, because I didn't want anyone to wonder whether one of our programs or another was going to fall off the table.
Well,
Families
I think
deserve
that
more
is one
than
of
that.
the things that with the end of the last administration and now your administration, there was a lot of question. And I did notice that in your meeting, there was a discussion about how some of the numbers were lower.
Yes, that's right.
And I think, do you feel that came from uncertainty about what was going to happen with the programs?
I believe from talking with the teachers, again, reflecting the teacher voice, that's my opportunity and my responsibility. I do think that the numbers in Montessori were lower because of the uncertainty about the choice, especially in our earliest age level.
Right.
one of the other conversations we're having is, if you look at achievement now at our elementary schools, a lot of our schools are really just performing in just an outstanding way. So people are beginning to not look so much at choice options maybe for different reasons, and we see some of the program numbers changing. So when you ask me what do you think something is maybe we should tackle, I wanted to stabilize those programs so that our teachers know, hey, I'm committed as a superintendent, your board, the district, everyone is committed to what you do every day. And we thought about new ways to kind of invite parents. We're going to change the the invitation process for our 4-year-old students to time that along with when 4-year-olds register for kindergarten. So we're offering the option at the same time as you're choosing,
and they need to know what it is. I think that was another issue.
That's exactly right. So education around those pieces. So I think one of the things to tackle is where are our kids based on magnets? People are choosing outside of their zones. So we have some of our schools that may or may not have space. What are the age of our facilities? And then there, is some conversation from a consultant that was paid before I came, and they just brought it up again at the last meeting at my request about the rezoning. And so do we keep kids in the zones they're in? People really have feelings about that.
Yeah, they do.
You bought a house, you're in a neighborhood, you think you're going to go, or hey, your brother and sister went there, now you have to change. Those are things that we are responsible for really getting that right. And we have to make sure that we listen as a system to what our parents and our community have to say. So one of the things, though, I think we do need to do is just take a good look at how are we doing meeting the needs of folks in this community. Is there another magnet we might want to add? Is there another opportunity for students that we're missing? So we're beginning to look at that, not just at the level and stabilize what we have, but what are opportunities we have moving forward. So I think that's something to opportunity-wise. I think we need to take a deeper look at middle and high school achievement. Our high school graduation rates are not where I'd like for them to be. And I know after spending time with students in schools, the teachers tell me, I can tell myself, our leaders tell me, hey, these kids can perform at a higher level. So what are we offering to make sure that those kids are achieving at the highest level they can? Because that's our responsibility. Are they leaving us with being prepared totally for college and career readiness? Not just, whether it's military, whether it's career, whether it's college, whatever it's going to be.
Sure.
Are we helping them be ready to be anything they want to be? And I think that that's something that's exciting. So I want to make sure that I take advantage of any partnerships I can, taking a look at all of our programs and making sure we're offering courses at a high enough level so that we can also put those. I also think we need to take a look at the arts. Make sure
I'm a
huge performer. Me too.
Yeah,
I'm a huge arts fan, so I want to make sure that we're offering, high level. We're looking at high level guitar classes and things like that now at the GPAC, the place where you said you watched the meeting. Mm-hmm. So I would just say, making sure too that all of our kids and their needs are being met. We have a lot of kids who have unique learning needs. Mm-hmm. Want to make sure they're included, not just in the classroom, but in other activities, the arts and athletics and all those other pieces. And also our families who may not have English as their first language. Are we communicating enough and helping folks understand the offerings that we have for school and making sure they fully feel invited and that they participate fully? Everyone. This community and the school system is for every person that's here, not just some.
Now, what about overcrowding, particularly in your high school classes? I understand, this is not new this year, but from last year that some of particularly our math and science classes have been overburdened, I guess would be a good word. Yeah.
I don't hear that a lot. Some of your beginning level, math classes and English classes and things like that probably do have more students in there than some of your other classrooms may. But we have room for kids. The studies that we've conducted and our consultants have conducted say we kind of are where we need to be space-wise, building-wise. But I do also want to, be mindful of the research that says the smaller the class size, probably the more likely it is that student gets individual attention, which I do think we need to pay attention to.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things about the schools that has just come up is, let's see, what is it? South Carolina, the District 50 was one of the top 20 schools?
Yes, we continue to move along as one of the top 20 schools. That's something that we're really proud of, and it's something that we want to tout, and I want to make sure that I give credit where it's due, which is to the teachers we've been talking about in the classroom, but not only our teachers, but our kids and their families who are making sure that they're partnering with us and making sure that they're making sure that their kids are participating. You know, we've really tried to make a dent in attendance. We all continue around the country to have an attendance issue with a lot of students and sometimes staff. Sometimes we have staff members who aren't present as much as we'd like for folks to be too, because the most important person to be in front of a student is the teacher.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure we do whatever we need to do to make sure they're there. But we have amazing department folks that are working on things and leaders in our buildings. I mean, again, my encounter on multiple trips to all of our schools, what I would say is while I'm there, I just take note of how just quality the people are that are in our classrooms and people that are leading our schools and things like that. So I think that work was done before I got here. I'm excited to touch that for a minute and be a part of it. And then I want to listen and take us to the next place. Right. We want to be number one on the list. Right.
I am talking with Shane Goodwin. He is District 50's new superintendent. I do want to make mention of the story you told at your district meeting on the 20th, and I think this goes to what you are a lot about, and that is how you were at the STEAM Festival.
I was.
And how you ran across a teacher and a student. And tell us that story, because I think if people don't know you, because you could have been la-ti-da, just enjoying yourself at the STEAM Festival and walking around and feeling good. Hey, we look good here today, right? But you listened. Again, you listened. So could you relay that story to us?
I'd be happy to do that. I just had probably exited my car, walked across the road, and was going down the street and encountered one of the teachers at RTC right away. Mm-hmm. And we talked for just a minute, and I was just thanking him for what he does every day. And as I began to walk away, a young man walked up with a young woman, and I could tell they knew each other. And then the young man said to the teacher, hey, I want to introduce you to someone. This is my girlfriend. And then he said, she's a triple major at Lander and doing really well and all that kind of stuff. Happened to be, I think, an early childhood major or elementary student major. And I thought, that piqued my interest right away, because we're always looking for high quality people to be with our students. But the young man said to the teacher, he's the reason I made it. And it just sat with me for a minute. Those are moments you don't want to miss. When you see a young person who's now an adult, who happens to be a Self scholar, who works in, I think it was the ICU unit over at Self, and his medical journey is ahead of him, and he's talking to his teacher about, hey, you're the reason I made it. And so I asked in an awkward way, probably, I said, hey, I don't want this to be strange, but can I take your picture? And I said, I know you don't know me, but when I hear someone say, you're the reason I made it, it's like, wouldn't we all be lucky to have one person in our life say that?
Exactly.
So I didn't want to miss that opportunity. And because of that teacher-student relationship, which was so positive, obviously so impactful, I couldn't resist telling that story, because to me, that's what it's all about. We do what we do every day, and we do always the best that we can in our classrooms. But when someone looks at you and says, hey, you're the reason, I was just so privileged to stand in the space just a minute and just be in it. I didn't have any business in it.
Right.
I had nothing to do with it. The point is,
you listened.
I witnessed it,
yes.
and I had to take the photo because everyone needed to hear it. It wasn't just me. That's the kind of moment that why we do what we do. So that impacted the teachers. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I was just so impressed, and I just stand here now. I sit here now telling you that story, and I have that same feeling I did when I watched it. It's kind of like a wow.
Yeah. I don't know if Jonathan's told you or if you know, but I work with Greenwood Performing Arts, and we bring music into the schools. We bring artists.
Yes.
And in fact, we've just worked a deal for Mac Arnold to come back again right before Thanksgiving. So we'll be sending you notes, and we hope you'll be there.
Thank you.
But the first time we did that program, I was standing there, and the students over at Benjamin Mays, I think, are exceptional. Yes. But they had to write these essays, and I was showing the essays to somebody else and saying, you got to read these essays, what the kids said. And I was standing there, and all the kids are filing out, and they were all excited and talking. I said, did y'all have a good time? Yes, yes. And then this one little boy runs over, puts his arms around me, looks up at me and says, best day ever. That was impactful.
Yes, absolutely. That's another one of those moments.
Right. And I'll tell you one more quick story, not to take away from your time, but I went over to High Hopes. That was a program that's run by the YMCA, and I was over there, and Jonathan Bass had said to me, "Ann, come over and see if GPA can do something with the kids." So I went over there. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had some kazoos with me, and I said, "Well, we'll just talk." So I started talking about Mac Arnold, and some of the kids, "Oh, we know Mac," because they all went to Benjamin Mays, or a lot of them did.
Right.
So I said, well, then I guess you know his song. If I stay in school and get my education, I can do anything. And this one little boy popped up, and I'll never forget it. He popped up and stood up and said, "Would you like me to sing it?"
Oh, wow.
And that's another one of those impactful times that you just go, yes, I know we're making a difference.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Exactly. And when you see that coming back in an unexpected way, just like you seeing that at the STEAM Festival, it really makes an impact on you.
Right. And just another side note, I'm so grateful for a community that we have that just brings people together. The STEAM Festival is just another example of just wandering down streets, seeing amazing people in the booths that they provided and the tables and the activities. And it's about all of that, but it's really all about, too, is being together. That's one of the things that this community really loves, is just what can we do to bring people to one place around something good. And I really enjoyed that.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. If you are on Facebook Live, you will hear some music. If you're on the radio, you are going to hear some commercials that make all of this worthwhile for me. And we'll be right back, so don't you go away. Take it away. We'll put the curtain down as we take a little break. And when we come back, we will be with Shane Goodwin, who is District 50 Superintendent. Don't you go away. Take it away, and... Oops, there we go. That's right. We're right back here at WCRS Radio after a nice interlude. My guy's here, Jonathan Graves, and he's not on the camera. He's standing in the background. They'll
hear me Friday night.
Yeah, they'll hear him Friday night. That's right. We got to do something about these Emerald Vikings here now. I just got to say, they got to win Friday night, don't they?
Must win. Yes.
It's a must win, a must win. And who are they playing?
Lawrence.
And is that possible they can win?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every week. It's always possible.
It's always possible.
Always possible.
We believe in our team every week.
Okay. I've been doing this a long time, Shane.
Yeah.
Emerald needs to win. All right, that sounds great. Well, we are right here with Shane Goodwin, and yes, on Friday night you can hear football right here on WCRS, and Jonathan Bass is one of the broadcasters over there. Jonathan Graves. What did I say?
Jonathan Bass.
I did. I said Jonathan Bass. Well, Jonathan has been hanging out there doing ticket sales for y'all.
Getting us confused. Jonathan Bass, he's our soccer coach.
Yes, right.
Both great people.
Right.
Yeah, both Johnsons are great.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And he's on city council, and he works for the Y. Yeah, there you go. So, good person. So, Jonathan Graves is going to be broadcasting Friday night along with another great team. But we are here with Shane to talk about Shane Goodwin here this afternoon. I hope y'all are enjoying this. If you do have a question, don't hesitate to ask. 864-332-9355. And of course, we do have the legacy line, 864-229-7984. You can also respond on that one. But Shane, we've been talking about a lot of good things. I know one of the things that we really should jump into is what a great job Rodney Smith does.
He does an outstanding job. You're right.
Oh my God.
We're going to really miss him in this upcoming year after he retires. So
he's
a fantastic
retire.
person.
Yeah.
I know. I asked him whatever it takes. What can I make happen? And like we all get to that point where it's an opportunity for us to retire, and we want to celebrate that with Rodney so that he can spend time with family. But he'll be missed. He's made a huge impact, and he's just an outstanding person, let alone professional.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I know last year was very stressful for him.
Very stressful.
Trying to make up or find the place for dollars that were taken, really, what they did not anticipate, particularly because of the state government, the changes that were made.
Right.
How are we doing this year? I know last year, I can tell you, I know Rodney said last year that y'all could make it through this year.
That's true.
Starting next year, it's going to be tough.
That's true. The board decided that we would borrow some money from our other fund that we needed to, but we have to keep some months in there based on making sure we have the right bond rating and all those other kind of things. So we don't want to have another year like last year.
Right.
The state just put out, I guess it was probably maybe a week and a half ago, a new take on the funding formula for classrooms. So they've been listening to, and I'm thankful for that, because I think, again, any of us that listen, we can learn, and if we learn, we can get new opportunities that are there. There's a lot of conversation around the funding process and funding formula for classrooms. Again, my passion is making sure that I take all the dollars I can and put them in the classroom, because that's where we're going to make the difference. It's that teacher-student interaction we just talked about before the break that makes all the difference. So we don't know yet exactly what the formula will look like. In talking with Mr. Smith, it's really about waiting for the state Department of Ed to kind of give us some dollar figures so we can kind of compare where we will be next year to this year. He is taking a deep dive into that and talking with his colleagues still around the state. Rodney will work to the very last day that he retires, and he'll leave us in a very good position. I know when he decides that last day is his last day, but I'm concerned about the amount of funding that we're receiving, and it is something that I hope we can work with our representatives to figure out how to get right, because, again, everyone I talk to is about kids. So if we keep the conversations on kids, I think we're going to be in good shape. So
Sure. Well, I know it was something that the legislature said, well, it was done 2 years ago or whatever, but it wasn't something that was advertised in a great way, was it?
No, it has been very challenging. And all of the meetings that I go to, to be honest with you, it's one of the hot topics because we need to know how much money we're going to have to make sure people, 85% of your money typically is tied up in people. And people are the thing that lead to the story I shared with you again about, hey, this person changed my life. So I need those people to do those jobs that they're doing in those classrooms. I want to make sure they're paid fairly. It's a hard job, and it is rewarding at the same time. So I want to make sure that we have enough people to keep those class sizes, the way they need to be so that we can make a full impact. So I'm excited about the months. I don't really know that we're going to hear a lot before January about what the dollars will look like before people get back and they start, wrestling with what does this funding formula look like. Right. I've heard a lot of people talk about charters. I've heard a lot of people talk about public school, homeschool, private school, parochial school, whichever word you use. Hey, we're talking about kids.
Right.
And if we keep the conversation around kids, as far as I can understand from reading and from talking to folks, South Carolina has had a huge boom with revenue that's coming into the state. So I think we should be able to figure out a way that we can pay for all those kids to get high quality education. That's my hope.
Well, I think that would be excellent. I think our legislators need to say, we don't need that money that we appropriated to ourselves, and we need to put it on our kids. I think that if you're looking for dollars, but you're right. They did have a huge windfall.
Yes.
Now, of course, I know that one of the topics that has to be concerning with the shutdown, how is the school district able to step up and help with food for our students?
Thank you for that question. We talked about Rodney Smith. I talked to Rodney this week about that, and at this point in time, he felt like there wasn't going to be an impact based on the information they're receiving. All of our schools have no pay breakfast and lunch for students when they come to school. Compulsory education, we want you to attend.
Right.
So we're going to take care of your physical needs like your meals.
Right.
And we want to make sure kids, who are fed also learn better when they're fed. And so that's something that this community, I think, has always supported, to my knowledge. And so we do not see yet an impact on that. What we are beginning to get concerned about is a number of families in our community that may receive benefits through SNAP or other kinds of things. And my understanding is some of that may not take place after this week. So I need to listen and get some clarity on what that means for families. And at our individual schools, we may need to take a look at how can we support our kids who go home on the weekends and at night and may not have the food they need to get to the next day. So I think from the information I have at this moment, that could change.
Right.
We're okay right now with the way that we serve our students breakfast and lunch at school and things like that. But the longer this goes on, I think the more unpredictable things may happen with our shutdown. So I hope we can get cranked up again and get going because we have good work to do.
Absolutely. I know we've talked a little bit about Benjamin Mays, and I know that's one of the schools that has seen tremendous growth, tremendous students in that school. And I know there is some talk about what you're going to do. I know you talked about zoning a little bit, and over there on the south side, we are seeing a tremendous amount of growth.
That's right.
And they certainly are building a lot of homes that are going to put families in them eventually.
Right.
How does the school district look to work with that, number one? And number two, plans to either expand the school or build new schools would be my question.
I don't think it's been that long since Dr. Benjamin E. Mays School was named Dr. Benjamin E. Mays School, and I know how influential a person that is in our community and the contributions that person made. So I'm thankful for the decision the community made to do what they've done there. So I know whatever we decide to do with that building, we need to continue to have Dr. Benjamin E. Mays School.
Right.
So I don't want folks to think necessarily that an option would be recommended that it won't be that. So now I do want to say, though, that that building was built 30 years ago, and it's probably one of the buildings from my team and what they say to me. We have a lot of maintenance in that building, and we have some costs and things that we'd like to not continue to put forward. So an option would be for us to build another Dr. Benjamin E. Mays Elementary School. Now, we have land there on that same site. We actually could keep kids in school while we built another building, if that's what the school board decides to do after some thorough conversations with committees. And again, at the meeting we had this past week, if you were watching that meeting, there was some direction the board wanted to give about, hey, we want to establish a committee.
Right.
And I want to just reiterate how strong our board feels about getting input from our community. That's really important to them, and that matches up with my listening need. So they too want to listen, and as we gather information from folks, whether it be Mays or Rice or Lakeview or Pinecrest, other schools that are on that list sometimes, we're going to listen. But I do know that a couple of things from my experience in the past. One, I know that we paid a consultant for a study, and in that study, it doesn't really show that growth is going to occur in Greenwood over the 10, 20, 30-year period at the rate we think. But what I also know is that as if you drive around, you see a lot of homes going up.
Right.
So we want to take a look at not only what does the state say or the county say, we need to actually look at permitting. Because if you take a look at permitting and talk to the permitting office, what they'll say is this is a number of permits. And then there was conversation this week when I attended the state of the city and county about moving to an electronic permitting system. So does that accelerate the number of permits that are offered? Because if you talk to folks, hey, Greenwood's attractive. And so people want to come and move here. It's becoming there's some sports tourism beginning to happen here. We have an amazing lake. We have an incredible downtown square. We have festivals, once a month, twice a month, sometimes every week. And so why wouldn't people want to live in a place like that? That's great for families and kids. So
that's a good bedroom community
it is.
As you move
yeah,
out of
you can drive
Greenville,
anywhere.
right?
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. If you don't want the traffic, you can live here and drive a little ways. So I would say all of that leads me to believe we need to spend a lot more time with our county partners and our city partners and really get a true assessment of what's happening here as we begin to talk with, we're going to include our parents, our principals, our teachers, and others, and what do you see as
So will
plans?
this be something you would do a meeting where people would come to, or are you going
Yes.
to? I mean, what type of format are you thinking about?
I think it will start small and then grow into what the board and the community would like for it to be.
Food always works well.
Food works well, feed people well, and trust me, there are a lot of places here that I love to eat, so I know we could ask them to please help us with the food. But what I would say is it has to be thoughtful.
Exactly.
Our board chair recently put forth, and we're
Clay.
using a board, yes, Clay Sprouse, a board governance calendar. So a lot of things are driven. You can see what's going to happen each month by going to our website, clicking on board, going down to board governance. And so you kind of know what's coming up at the meetings. They're going to start a committee structure. And we have 4 committees, and one of those is the building committee. Mm-hmm. And so that committee is going to begin to meet January or February. So I believe what you'll see, if I had to predict it, and I could be wrong if the board changes their mind, but here's what I think, is that we'll start in that committee process, and the committee will talk about how we move forward. So pay attention to that January, February time frame. In committee meetings and in board meetings, there'll be information about how to move forward.
Right.
And I look forward to getting that direction from the board and providing the board with the information I'm getting from our county partners and our teachers. And, folks live here.
Yeah.
And as I go to those restaurants we just laughed about and said, by the way, Greenwood has more restaurants than anywhere I've ever lived, I think.
And we've
It's
got
amazing.
a lot of chicken
Yeah,
restaurants.
a lot of chicken restaurants.
Chicken and Mexican.
And so
There you
all
go.
of that. But the thing about restaurants is that's where people go.
Right.
And the reason I love going to restaurants, and my wife and I love it, is too, it's not just for the food. The food's always great, but it's the people. You run into other people, and that's the fun part about being a community, I think. So I know that was a long answer, but I would say pay attention January, February. I think that process will start in committee, and then the committee will decide what kind of a committee do we use, because we want to take advantage of leaders and others in our community outside of the public education, Greenwood 50 sector. We'll probably have to include, Dr. Logan. I'm not saying who'll be on the committee so much as there are people in this community that are, the number one employer and all these other, people have different ideas. And when you put all those different ideas in one place, usually you come up with something really good.
It's called
So
gumbo.
we don't want to leave something out. That's right. I love gumbo. Right. Gumbo, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
We don't want to leave anyone out because every voice is important.
Absolutely. Well, being over there at Benjamin Mays, the comment was made, we need a bigger gym. We
That's
cannot
true.
put all the students in
Cafeteria.
there.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Those are basically called core areas.
Okay.
And so when you do look at expanding a school, let's say we did a renovation of a school, you would always want to make sure that you expanded those core areas. You might want to move a kitchen outside of the center of the school to an exterior space and make that new, because when you increase the size of the student body, You have to increase those, media center, cafeteria, music room, PE space. All those things have to be considered. It's never in isolation.
Right. So, but anyways, that is good to hear. Well, I've been asking you a lot of questions, and you've been listening to me, so that's good. But Shane, I'm talking with Shane Goodwin. He is Superintendent for District 50. What would you like the community to know about you, or the position that you're in, or what you see for the future? We have about 5 more minutes here. Yeah. So, what would you like?
Thank you. First of all, I want the community to know how grateful that Christy, my wife, and I, that we are to be a part of this community, because when we move somewhere and live there, we want to fully invest ourselves. We're both Rotarians and have been in the past, and love a way of service to do that. So we're going to be looking for opportunities to serve this community as well, as we're newcomers here. And I want people to know it's such a privilege for me to serve in this role. I really believe in servant leadership, and you'll hear me talk a lot about customer service, and the person in front of me is the most important person. So if folks need to bring a problem to me, I don't want them to worry about, some formal structure. Just get in touch with me somehow, and if I need to meet someone somewhere, it doesn't have to be where an office or a school. I like to talk with people because, again, I'm all about listening and learning. And so I want folks to know that if you haven't thought about sharing an idea before, now's a good time. I love to be an innovator. I feel like sometimes we have a lot of rules and things we follow in organizations. Public school and all kinds of organizations have lots of rules. So we follow rules, but there's opportunities to be innovative. So if we need something that doesn't exist, help me. I would invite the community to help me figure out what that is. What has Greenwood always wanted that I can help make happen? And the other thing is, I'd love to just hear stories about Greenwood. What makes this, and I would ask you've been here quite a long time. I mean, what's the best thing about Greenwood to you? Because I love to hear those stories. And then what's an opportunity that you would say the superintendent of Greenwood 50 could take on and make better? And so I'm always interested, whether it's a restaurant or Aldi or, they always laugh at me when I mention Granny Hands and Workman's Soul Q, or if I'm over at Chick-fil-A or wherever I am and I run into people, if it's at Break at the Lake, if it's Sports Break, obviously you can tell I try to go a lot of places. Our place, I'm going to leave some out, but that's where people are.
And what about the football?
Well, football here is incredible. We have two amazing high schools.
Right.
They're two very different size high schools, but both are absolutely fantastic, can provide different environments. You can feel at Greenwood the sense of pride, and everyone talks about the scoreboard and the jumbotron and the game that's on the screen and on the field, and we have the press box and the field house.
Yes.
A lot of conversation about the field house.
Yeah, it's brand new.
That's right. Yeah. And then you go out to Emerald and you feel this tight community of people who are just so proud to have the spaces they have, and they
have a new press box.
They have an incredible gym. When you walk inside, it's a sunken gym. It looks like something you see at a college facility. Each school is unique, and they have their own presence, but they're both incredible. And so the football's good, and I've gone to girls golf this year. I've gone to volleyball, and so I hope people will look for me as they pass me on the golf cart and wonder who's that guy with a tie, or and I'm over here and I'm at a volleyball game sitting up against the wall. I love having conversations with people, so I would invite the community. If you see me or you see my family out, please speak and tell me what you think or what you want to know. If it's something great, wonderful. And if it's something we need to get better on, I want to hear it.
I think that is terrific. Now, of course, I got to ask you this question. Clemson or Gamecock? I mean, this is big here.
This is a really tough one. I will say I didn't go to either school. My wife went to Furman. And, one of the things my wife always says is Furman is the rose between two thorns. That's her thing.
Exactly.
But I would say I've been an ACC person a lot in the past, probably Clemson, but I have been to Carolina, and I don't think there's anything quite like being in that crowd with the towels going round and around to Sandman as everybody whips the towels and gets the end. Sandstorm, sorry. Sandman's different. That's another place. Sandstorm. Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, thank you. But what I would say is the energy that's in both of those places and the pride. You have to choose. So I'm still kind of on the edge.
I'm
still on the edge.
I understand. I understand. Well, Shane, I want to say thank you so much for taking
you.
the time and being open to an open conversation here. This is what I like to do, and I know everybody here in this community, because we care about our kids, we care about the district, we want it to be successful, and we want all these opportunities for our students to be able to go on and become successful so they can work and support us in the style we've become accustomed to, right?
That's right.
So, anyways, it's been great to have you here.
Thank you.
And
what a privilege for me. Thank you.
I hope you will come back, or if you have something you'd like to get out there, that you'll tell Jonathan, see if Ann can work me in, and we'd love to have you back on anytime.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time with you tonight, and for all the audience. Thank you.
Absolutely. This is WCRS. We have been with Shane Goodwin. He is District 50 Superintendent, and Penny has been enjoying it this afternoon too, so we've had a good afternoon. That's going to do it for us. I'll be back in the morning. It is... What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. We've only had Hump Day
the day
here.
before Halloween.
That's right. The day before Halloween. Lots of Halloween stuff going on. When you grew up, I just need to ask you, was there so much Halloween partying and candies and trunk or treats and everything?
I remember walking to my neighbors' homes in my neighborhood and just getting things, and that was kind of it.
And that was on
You
Halloween.
got home and ate your candy, and that was it, and it was gone.
Look at it now. Oh, my God. It is unbelievable. Boo Bash is tomorrow night. You'll have to get to Boo Bash. That's an exciting time, too. That's going to do it for us. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Thank you so much, everybody. Cue the sign down. Cue the music. And we are saying good night, everybody. Take it away.